Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, this is the rabbi.
Hey, Rabbi, it's Keith Kalb. How are you? From the Bronx DOT.
Oh, Keith Kalb, how are you?
Good. How's everything?
When could I call? Everything is great, Keith, but I want to speak to you, I guess, offline tomorrow about my no parking anytime in front of my synagogue.
Okay.
There used to be two signs there, Keith, and somebody ripped one down, and now they're all parking in front of my synagogue the whole time.
Okay, that's easy. Just if you want to send me an email with the location, I can have them reinstall the sign.
Keith,
Yeah, actually, Keith,
the investigator said that everything was fine. This is Jeremy.
Yeah, actually,
hey, Jeremy.
Actually, Keith, we got a letter back from you, and I was going to call you that one of you guys did a study, and everything is fine. And you could come tomorrow and see there's only one sign here, Keith.
But the one sign is pointing in the direction of the synagogue, right?
Right, but the other sign going the other way really is in conflict, so that's why they get all confused, and they park right in front because they only see one sign. They see what they want to see, Keith. That's the bottom line.
Okay, we'll take another look at it.
Okay, please, Keith. Thank you so much, because I have a lot of elderly and trucks parked there and everything, and they block them from crossing the street.
So, Rabbi, we are live streaming, but I'm not recording yet because I don't think you have a quorum. I was just going to email the board, just to remind them of the meeting tonight with the link details. If you want to wait 2 more minutes, I guess, while I do that.
I can wait. And I apologize. I'm not on the screen. I'm not anywhere. I'm on a car because I had an emergency and I had to run to my synagogue. And now I got to finish that. But I'll be on the meeting the whole time.
And I don't know if you saw the email earlier today, Rabbi, that Lisa Soto cannot come tonight. So only one person I know of is called out.
Oh.
So we still have, I think, Debbie Kolick, Christian Amato. Is there anybody else that's a member of the committee, Chris, off the top of your head?
Say it again, I'm sorry.
So Lisa Soto can't come tonight. She emailed us, right? And then
Right,
we have
I'm aware of that.
Then we have Christian and Debbie. I'm just looking at the website now.
That's it. Daisy Rodriguez no longer is with us.
Yeah. So it's just Debbie and Christian.
Correct.
So it's up to you, Rabbi, when you want to. I just send out a reminder. It's up to you when you want to start.
We could definitely start. No problem.
I'm going to start the recording, and then if you want to do the intro, the date, the time, and all that wonderful stuff, I'll let you take it away. Starting now.
Okay, starting now. This is the transportation meeting on the wonderful date of April 11th, starting at 7:34 p.m. And we have several topics to do today. And if we want to go, do we want to go? Am I allowed to start if there's no quorum, or I can't do anything?
Well, I mean, you can't vote on anything. Yeah, you're supposed to wait till I have a quorum, but you do have the Department of Transportation here, and you have quite a few members of the public. So you might as well at least.
Okay, so
this is no guarantee you'll get a quorum.
Okay, so Keith was probably our most important person here tonight. So let's turn it over to DOT and let Keith speak about the DOT issues. And then we could, unless people have questions from Keith, we could release him or we could dismiss him, whichever way you want to say it.
Rabbi, just want to let you know I'm in here. It's
Okay,
Debbie.
thank you. Okay,
Likewise, Christian
we're getting
moderator.
there. Okay, we're getting there. Okay, Keith, the floor is yours.
Good, excuse me. Good evening, everybody. Keith Kalb, interim Bronx Borough Commissioner for the New York City Department of Transportation. I'm going to apologize now for the mess that is behind me. I can't figure out how to blur my background. I apologize now for that. This is my home office that is a bit of a mess. I haven't used it in a little bit. Thanks for having us. We are here. I'm joined by Teresa Cruz, my senior borough planner in the Bronx office, who is online with us. I see Holly Malone, our Green Wave coordinator. I see Sarah Fella, our project manager for is this East Gun Hill Road. And I think we have our colleagues with the MTA. I think I seen Kate. Yep, Kate Contino is here. Sarah, is anybody else with transit development with us? No, I don't see them. No, okay.
Just me for TD tonight.
Great. You know, we've had community stakeholder meetings for better bus plan for Gun Hill Road, and it's just a small portion of Gun Hill Road that is sort of split between you and 12. That we're going to show you the whole plan, but we're talking to you because a piece of Gun Hill Road is in your district. I'm just going to let Sarah take it away and explain to you what we're looking at. It's a better bus plan for Gun Hill between Bainbridge and Bartow Avenue. Sarah is going to, if we can have Sarah ability to share the screen, then
I think, can you all see my screen shared right now?
yes. Good.
Excellent.
I'm going to mute myself. Hopefully everybody else is muted for the duration of the presentation, and then we'll take questions at the end of the presentation. This way it keeps it simpler for everybody.
Perfect. Great. Well, thank you so much for the introduction, Keith. Real quick, I know you all can see my screen, but I have a window of some of our faces on my screen as well. Can you all see that, or can you only see the presentation?
The presentation's all I see.
Yeah, only the
Okay.
presentation.
Same here, Sarah.
Great. Just want to make sure I wasn't blocking anyone's view of part of the presentation. Okay, great. I'll go ahead and get started. Whoops. So yeah, my name is Sarah Feller. I am on DOT's bus priority team. Tonight I'll be talking about Gun Hill. And just some quick context before I start. We are looking to do a project on Gun Hill Road this year, both to benefit bus riders as well as to make the streets safer, especially for pedestrians because they're the most physically vulnerable, but really benefiting everybody, making Gun Hill Road a safer place to get around. We are looking to do the project this year. So a fairly quick turnaround, but at this time we don't have any plans to show. This is really just an introductory presentation talking about the existing conditions. And really we want it to be a two-way conversation, hearing feedback about how Gun Hill Road works right now, what works properly, what doesn't work, and what we should be looking at as we seek to make this road work better. So I'll try to be concise but thorough, and let's definitely have a conversation afterwards. So why are we looking at Gun Hill Road? Obviously, it's a busy street for all modes of transportation. It's a major east to west thoroughfare serving the North Bronx. It also is really, really busy for bus passengers. Right now, there are 40,000 people a day using the bus routes that go on Gun Hill Road, which is just a huge, huge, huge amount of people. And in addition to being a lot of people, the service is very slow. It's often unreliable. It's off schedule. And as a result, it was named one of 10 key corridors for bus priority in the Bronx. So if you see in the top right of your screen, you see a list of, and I'll explain some of the pictures because I know some of you all are on audio only, but this is 10 streets throughout the Bronx that we've been looking at investing in bus service in, making sure the bus is faster and more reliable. And this is one of those 10. This also comes out of the New York City Streets Plan that was released late last year. The big takeaway is that Gun Hill Road was, most of the area around Gun Hill Road was considered a top tier, a tier 1 priority investment area. And our goals are to, increase sustainable travel modes, which really just means making the bus work better and making walking safer so folks are able to use them as options, increase the options available to folks. Number two, expanding access to job opportunities. Again, ensuring that transit is on time. It is as fast as it can be. It brings folks where they need to go so they can access the jobs and opportunities in the city. And number three, allowing all New Yorkers, regardless of ability, to get around the city. So there's a big accessibility piece here as well. Accessibility, ADA accessibility is a part of this project. I'll have my colleague Senna from the MTA speak to the Bronx bus network redesign.
Hi, everyone. Great to be with you tonight. Thanks, Sarah. So as Sarah mentioned in the previous slide, apologies. I just ate too much cheese for dinner. Okay. Gun Hill Road was identified along with several other corridors in the Bronx bus network redesign plan. And just to give you all a little bit of context on that plan, the main goal of that plan really is to improve local, limited, and select bus services in the Bronx. We did a very extensive public outreach process, and the plan was finalized in late 2021. And we are scheduled for implementation during this summer, so that's very exciting. Just so you guys are aware of the changes that are coming through Bronx Bus Network redesign that kind of relate to this corridor. The BX30 will now operate on Boston Road, and the BX28 and 38, which run on the full duration of the corridor, will get improved frequencies to make up for that change. On that corridor, once we implement, on the Gun Hill Road corridor, once we implement Bronx Bus Network redesign, you can expect a BX28 or 38 bus every 8 minutes on weekdays and every 5 to 6 minutes during that rush hour period.
Great, thank you, Senna. There we go. Okay, so looking at some of the core issues on Gun Hill, kind of summarizing them, obviously we have slow and unreliable bus service. Excuse me. We also have a real safety problem on Gun Hill Road. We'll talk about it more in a minute, but we have a lot of crashes, a lot of injuries, as well as some fatalities. Some folks have actually passed away after being injured in crashes on Gun Hill Road. And we know that needs to be part of this project to make the street safer. And number three, traffic congestion obviously is a big issue as well. The street is 60 feet wide, and each direction has 2 lanes and a parking lane. And we all know that, but that is one of our inputs in this project is what can we do with the space that we have? Double parking, additionally, is a big enough issue that we wanted to make sure we're calling attention to it and trying to address it in this project. One of these photographs is the bottom left corner. This is Gun Hill Road and DeWitt Place by the 5 train in CB12, or excuse me, CB11, also in 12, but specifically in CB11. And obviously, when the car double parks, Gun Hill Road goes from 2 lanes per direction to only 1 lane. And, we need to make sure that folks can access the curb, that if you need to flip over into the store or drop something off or pick somebody up, that you can do that there's a space for you to do that without risking a ticket and without blocking traffic. I think right now, the state of double parking is kind of a lose-lose. Drivers risk tickets and traffic and buses are all blocked by the double parked vehicles. So we do want to address that, and we do have some tools to address it that I'll talk about in a moment. Senna, would you like to speak to the Gun Hill Road bus speeds?
Sure. Yeah. So as Sarah mentioned, that double parking issue that we're seeing really is contributing to slow and unreliable bus service along that Gun Hill Road corridor. Traffic congestion and the double parking really slows down the bus, and it makes it difficult for us to deliver that high quality transit service that we want to deliver to our riders. So this slide is really just showing the bus speeds on the corridor for the BX28 and the 38. And you can kind of see that buses are generally moving pretty slowly throughout the day, speeds less than 7 miles per hour. During those like peak times, morning rush, PM rush, we see lower speeds as low as, 5 miles per hour during the 6 to 10 a.m. period in the westbound direction, and the 3 to 7 p.m. period in the eastbound direction. These speed reductions really result in longer travel times for our customers, which can create huge differences between the daytime and overnight and evening speeds, basically adding between 15 to 17 minutes of additional travel time for our customers who do have to travel the full length of Gun Hill Road. And that increase in travel time, kind of that variability throughout the day, makes it pretty difficult for us to deliver that reliability that we would like to deliver to our customers. And then this slide just kind of gives you all a little bit of context on the data. It shows our route level bus speeds over time during the AM and PM peak periods. You can see that average BX28 speeds are underperforming compared to average Bronx borough-wide local bus speeds. During the pandemic, we really did see a pretty big gain in bus speeds just due to lighter traffic conditions, also due to lower bus ridership as well. But one of the main goals of this project really is to kind of recoup some of those speed gains that we saw during the pandemic and then bring bus speeds back up to what they could be in an ideal traffic situation. Currently, we're really only seeing about 75 of our bus trips on the BX28 and 38 completed within 5 minutes of scheduled time. So we are struggling with reliability, and this project really hopefully will help us address that problem. Back to you, Sarah.
Awesome. Thank you, Senna. So now I'll speak to crash history. So what we did was we crunched 5 years worth of crash data on Gun Hill Road, all the way from Bainbridge Avenue to Bartow Avenue, the whole section we're looking at. And we found on that stretch, we had more than 1,200 injuries in those 5 years. So on average, that's almost 5 people a week who are injured in crashes on Gun Hill Road. And that includes people who are riding in vehicles, that includes pedestrians, that includes everybody. Really, everyone's at risk. And this places it in the top 10% of most dangerous Bronx streets. It's actually probably it's probably worse than just the top 10%, but that's the number that our system gives us. We also saw 64 severe injuries, and we saw 2 fatalities. There were 2 people who actually passed away. I mentioned that earlier after being in crashes on Gun Hill Road. So, it's a pretty dire set of circumstances, and we know that we need to address it. And if we're going to make any improvements on this street, we need to make this street safer for everybody who uses it. As a result, this is a Vision Zero priority corridor, which means it's a citywide priority for safety investments. And we do have a set of tools that I'll speak to that can help to address that. To summarize the goals and challenges of this project. So our goals, number 1, we want to make bus service fast, reliable, and on time. Number 2, we want to make Gun Hill Road safer to walk, but really safer for everybody who uses it. And number 3, we want to organize traffic movements and make traffic more predictable, more orderly, and safer. Some of our challenges, obviously, we're dealing with traffic congestion. We're also dealing with a pretty broken up street grid. There's not a lot of alternate routes if you want to get, from one area to the other, and especially obviously around the Parkway, if you're trying to get from CB11 east of the Bronx River Parkway to anywhere west of the Parkway. We know that you can take Gun Hill, you can take Allerton, you can go up to 233rd. There's not a lot of options, and some of these issues are beyond what we can fix this year, but we're definitely aware of them, and we're working to figure out a customized solution that really fits the specific needs and conditions on Gun Hill Road. So now I'll speak to the DOT and MTA toolkit, the things that we can do to help make this street better, and I'll also talk about some of the past projects we've done and the results. So starting obviously with bus lanes, there's a whole, different range of different kinds of bus lanes that we use. So starting from the bottom center here, the classic curbside bus lane like you have on Fordham right now. Then upgraded from that, there is the offset bus lane here in the top left. And an offset bus lane is you keep all the parking, and then the next lane next to the parking is the bus lane. And that's better for parking. It's also better for the bus because you don't have folks parking in the bus lane or standing in the bus lane, to access a business or to access a home. One step up from that, we have on the top right here, we have center running bus lanes. And these are in the left lane usually. And they're just far enough away from the curb that there's no reason for a vehicle to block it. And, it sounds obvious, but, a bus lane will work better if the bus can use it, if there's no vehicles blocking it. And so again, we want to accommodate that curb activity and make sure the through vehicles can still do what they need to do. They can still go without blocking the bus. And the example here, this is 161st Street in the South Bronx. You also have busways, also known as transit and truck priority, where you make the whole street such that a bus can travel all the way through, a truck can travel all the way through, including for deliveries, and then any other vehicle can still use that street. You know, we're maintaining vehicle access. A vehicle would just need to turn on to the certain block, and then turn off at the next block, just, you know, discouraging that through traffic that can make the street congested. And then finally, in addition to bus lanes, we have queue jump signals. You can see this in the bottom right. It's kind of hard to see, but instead of a regular traffic light, there's actually a white vertical bar instead of the, you know, the green circle of the traffic light. And this is a quick head start for the bus. So at a busy intersection, you put in this head start so the bus can go 7 seconds before other traffic. And so there's no traffic for the bus there. We also have a toolkit to improve bus stops. And again, this, you know, part of this is comfort, part of this is accessibility for folks who use wheelchairs or walkers, elderly folks, people with children, etc. So obviously we have benches, we have leaning bars as well, which for folks for whom it's easier just to lean back than to sit down and get back up, leaning bars are great. We also have physical accessibility. So here's an example of a stop in the bottom left here where you had a bus stop that had a grassy strip in the front of it, you know, like a continuous grass strip. And that made it not ADA accessible. You couldn't deploy the wheelchair ramp over the grass strip. Now we filled in that grass strip where the front of the bus stop is, and now that bus stop is accessible. And then finally, we have bus borders. So you can see here in the top right, so bus border is where we extend the sidewalk. We actually widen the sidewalk out into the bus stop. So the sidewalk is about 8 feet wider. You can do this in concrete, or you can do it in this case, it's kind of like a durable plastic kind of material that we like to do because you can put them in quicker, and they're still very durable. The whole point of this is instead of the bus having to you know, pull out of the moving lane to get to the curb, you know, the bus comes in at an angle. Again, it's harder to deploy that wheelchair ramp, but folks have to walk into the street to get on the bus. This solves all those problems. The bus stays in the same lane. It pulls up perfectly parallel to the edge, to the new curb, and folks can just get right on the bus. It's easier, it's safer, especially for folks who have you know, who have disabilities or mobility issues. This makes things much easier. Looking now at pedestrian safety, and again, there's a whole suite of tools we have for pedestrian safety. Obviously, you have your classic pedestrian island, like you see here on Fordham Road, an island in the middle of the intersection. So if folks get stuck in the middle and the light the light turns green, they have a safe place to wait. We can build those anew, or we can extend existing medians. So in the bottom left here, this is a median that we lengthened into the crosswalk, and we also widened it at the crosswalk, so folks have, you know, real proper refuge in the middle of that busy intersection on that busy street. We also, you know, when you look at bus boarding islands, like this is EL Grand Highway in the West Bronx. This is mostly used so folks can, as a bus stop, so folks can get on the bus when the bus is using the middle of the street, like a center running bus lane. But bus boarding islands also go back to the crosswalk, and so you actually get an island in the crosswalk as well, just as an added benefit to that bus boarding island. And then finally, we have curb extensions. So the bottom right here, you can see that. And this is actually really the kind of thing that we think could really be beneficial on Gun Hill within CB12, more so on the north curb than the south side of Gun Hill. But the street grid obviously gets kind of funky. There's a lot of wide angle turns that a car could drive down going 30 plus miles an hour. And what you do is you can do it in concrete, or it can be as simple as paint and some flexible posts, some plastic posts to keep cars out of that space. But you narrow the intersection a little bit. You make it more of a regular 90-degree T-shaped or cross-shaped intersection, and you make the crossing distance shorter for pedestrians. So those are some of the kind of things we can do for pedestrian safety. And they also have added benefits for driver safety as well. If drivers can see pedestrians, before they start crossing. That's better for everybody. We also have a parking toolkit. I talked about a lot about double parking and how we want to prevent double parking. And the way you do that is to make sure that when folks need to access the curb, that they can access the curb without having to double park. And so adding a parking meter to a street that has a lot of demand but isn't metered is one way to do that. Truck loading zones are a way to do that. A dedicated space, especially in front of like a supermarket or a really busy block that has a lot of deliveries, between hour A and hour B, deliveries only, and that way those vehicles can go ahead and do and make their deliveries. Short-term parking is another thing we've been piloting. So you can see the bottom middle of your screen. This is a 15-minute parking pilot. So most of the block, it's regular 1 hour metered parking. The rest of the block, it's 15 minutes, no need to pay the meter. You just pull over, do what you need to do, and get on your way. And that way that each space can accommodate more vehicles per hour. And again, less reason to double park. When the next person pulls up, they have a space. And then finally, we also have no parking and no standing regulations that we put in on the busiest blocks where, like, if no other tool works, we could put in a no parking regulation, for example, where you actually are allowed to pull over to drop somebody off, pick somebody up, whatever you need to do, but you can't just stay there. Looking now at some other tools we have, we can adjust the traffic light timing on a street. Maybe Gun Hill Road doesn't get enough green light time compared to the cross streets. We can adjust that. We have transit signal priority, which is a smart signal system that detects when the bus is coming and turns a red light green sooner or keeps a green light longer so that bus can get through that intersection. We also have bus lane camera enforcement. We have both cameras that are mounted in a fixed place, like on a light pole. We also have the MTA has their own cameras that are mounted on buses. That's a program that they're expanding. And again, the whole purpose of this is to make sure that folks follow the rules. You can always use a bus lane to pick somebody up or drop somebody off or to make the next right turn. But you can't just stay in the bus lane for a long time and block buses and block traffic. And then finally, things as simple as a left turn lane or a right turn lane. So that way, when a vehicle is trying to turn, they're just waiting for the gap in traffic to do that. They can wait without having to block the through traffic. And that's a benefit for safety as well, because people don't feel pressured to make that turn before they're ready. I'll talk now about past projects. I know it's a long presentation, so I'll try to be brief, but we recently did a bus priority project on E.L. Grant Highway in the West Bronx. This is a pretty wide street, so we were able to put in center running bus lanes. You can see at this picture here, the bus is far. This is a bus boarding island here, but the bus runs in the left lane, so there's no reason for a double parked vehicle to block that bus lane. The bus lane can do what it's supposed to do. And we saw benefits. The midday was the most impressive, 14 to 16% reduction in travel time. We saw 3 to 12% improvement during the morning peak hours, 7 to 8% improvement in the PM peak hours. And although these numbers seem kind of modest, 10% or so, it actually makes a big difference because that's an average. So, before this project was done, some buses were able to go straight through. They got all the green lights. They didn't hit any traffic. So maybe that bus isn't benefiting much, but the next bus might have gotten stuck in a lot of traffic, might have caught every red light. And maybe that bus is 25% faster. And so what you see overall is the travel times become more reliable. The bus can come on schedule instead of coming all bunched up where, 2 or 3 buses arrive at the same time. And then the first bus is packed with people, the bus behind it is emptier, and then you have to wait a really long time for the following bus because they're all coming bunched up in 2s or 3s. In addition to making the bus just plainly faster, bus lanes also make that service more reliable and more even. Another project we did was Webster Avenue. We put offset bus lanes as well as off-board fare collection and some other improvements. We saw improvements of about 19% in the morning rush hour, 19% faster, and about 21 to 23% faster in the afternoon. So in terms of like raw minutes, you see here a reduction from 52 minutes from end to end down to 40. So 12-minute time savings is really impressive, and we're really proud of this project. Other times a day, 8 minutes here, 10 minutes there. It's really pretty impressive. Next, looking at 161st Street in the South Bronx. So for a short section near the courthouses, we put in center running bus lanes in both directions. And we also added a bus only tunnel in the eastbound direction. So this is one of those tunnels that goes underneath the Grand Concourse. We were able to make it bus only eastbound, but all traffic westbound. And in eastbound, where we really, I think the takeaway from this is, if we want to make bus service faster, more reliable, to get folks to work on time, to their appointments on time, the better improvements we put in, the more benefits we're going to see. So the eastbound direction, where we did the most work, we saw improvements of 32% in the mornings, 46%, almost twice as fast in the middle of the day, and 34% in the afternoon. In the westbound direction, we still saw good benefits, 15%, 18%, but not quite as much. So, that's the lesson there. And so, as I mentioned, in addition to making the bus plainly faster, we also are reducing the percentage of buses that arrive late. And I thought this was really impressive. The percent of buses that arrived bunched up together, we saw, as high as 22%. Before this project, and as low as 2% afterwards. So a really, really big improvement in buses coming one at a time at even intervals. Excuse me. Next, we'll go on to the work we've done so far in Gun Hill Road and the next steps. Senna mentioned that this comes out of the MTA Bronx Bus Network redesign and more than 50 public outreach events that the MTA did, along with my team at DOT as well. We were part of that. We also did a merchant survey that I'll talk about in a minute. We've also spent a lot of time out on Gun Hill Road in person. And that's just, you want to understand the nature of the problem on a given street. That's how you do it. And so I've been out there myself a whole bunch of times over the last couple of years, actually. I was out there the week before last. I'll be out there again soon. Watching traffic, different times of day, different days of the week, standing at a corner, watching the light cycles, the ebb and flow of traffic, riding the bus back and forth, really walking the corridor, just trying to understand what exactly is the problem and what are the right solutions, because every street is different and every block is different too. We also took time-lapse footage, so you can see the bottom right here. This is actually a picture that our time-lapse camera took. We hung a bunch of these around Gun Hill Road. They take a photograph every minute or so for like a week, and then we can watch that footage and understand, again, different times of day, different days of the week, what exactly is the problem, and what are the worst times of day, et cetera, et cetera. We also did a merchant survey because, obviously we want to make sure that we're working with businesses and accommodating businesses' needs. And so what we did is we did a survey. We went door to door and spoke with every single business on Gun Hill Road, all the way from Bainbridge Avenue by Montefiore to Bartow Avenue, so the whole corridor. We did this in partnership with the Jerome Gun Hill Business Improvement District. Their boundaries are west of the Bronx River Parkway, but within their district, within CB7, they visited every business with us. But in CB12, we just visited them ourselves. In total, 144 merchants took our survey on their delivery schedules, their challenges, and their needs as it pertains to mostly vehicle access. And so we learned things like, what are the busiest blocks for deliveries? We learned that 29% of the businesses said that vehicles that deliver to them need to double park. And again, we want to make sure that we can accommodate more of those vehicles at the curb without double parking. And then finally, we found that, not surprisingly, the vast majority of these businesses, they're small businesses, they can't just control when their deliveries arrive. So we need solutions that work at all times of day. So whenever their delivery driver pulls up, they can park and make their delivery and not risk a ticket and get on with business. Looking next at some of the next steps. So right now we're at this first bullet. We're still kind of towards the beginning of this process. We're here to talk about the existing conditions and everyone's needs and wants for Gun Hill Road. The feedback we get from you tonight is going to help shape our proposal, as well as the feedback we're getting from the other community boards. And we're also still crunching data and still understanding the nature of Gun Hill Road. Later in the spring, we're going to be developing a draft proposal. We're going to share it with you, and we're going to get your feedback. You know, we'll come to you with an idea, and you'll tell us what makes sense of that, what doesn't make sense, what are you concerned about, what questions do you have. We'll go through all of that. And then over the summer, we will share our updated plan, incorporating that feedback. And we're looking to implement this again this year, late summer into the fall, because we know that this street needs improvement now, and we want to get these benefits in the ground. So that's pretty much my whole presentation. I know it's a lot. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, we can go through individual slides. But really, I want to talk about, you know, how does Gun Hill Road operate right now? What works? What doesn't work? What issues do you see? Of the tools we talked about, which ones sound useful? Which ones do you have concerns or questions about? And then finally, you know, what role can our agencies take to make this street work better? So I know you know, I'm kind of coming to you with kind of a narrow focus, looking at making the bus work better and improving safety. But any ideas you have, any issues you see, let's definitely talk about them. You know, now is the time to make any improvements that you know that the street calls for. So that's pretty much that. I also have little reference maps here if you need a reference, block by block. But there you have it. Thank you so much. And I already see a raised hand from Bernadette. Should I just go ahead? Should I just go ahead and get to folks in order, or does anyone have a preference? Does anyone else want to lead that?
Rabbi, since you're the chairman, would you want us to just call people, or how do you want to handle that?
Since I'm the chairman, I'm going to take the prerogative to ask the first questions, and then we can call people. Is that okay?
Great. Yeah, of course. It's your
Absolutely.
Of course. Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. First of all, thank you for everybody coming down for this. Very, very informative. And I'm sorry, I'm just on audio, so I might be asking questions that are on video, but hopefully we'll get answers. Okay, so the big problem that I see with the 28 and knowing a lot of these buses is everything till it hits past the Bronx River Parkway, and that is going east. Is that true? The big problem is up there. Once it passes the Bronx River Parkway, isn't everything moving much more faster?
It's a great question, and it kind of depends. Certainly, you know, by the Parkway, around the Parkway especially, and also west of the Parkway from Webster Avenue to Montefiore, it's pretty gummed up. But we do also see congestion this time of day. And we also see, again, a really big safety issue and a lot of traffic and a lot of traffic crashes and a lot of injuries on that part of Gun Hill Road. But yeah, you know, there are certain hot spots. I think also by the 5 train within the CB 11 and CB 12 area is also a hot spot for congestion and for safety issues. Senna, do you have any thoughts on this from the MTA perspective?
No, I think that really covers it. I mean, yeah, we definitely see those hot spots, but nothing else jumps to mind.
Right, I just think it's hot because you got Montefiore up there and you got everybody running off of that Bronx River Parkway, going north, going south. But the minute it clears that, and I think the reverse way also when it's going west, I think it's okay till it hits the trains. The minute it hits the trains, bye-bye birdie. Okay, so that's question number 1. Question number 2, bring in a little closer to Community Board 11. I'm not as young as you guys, but generally I could beat the 26 from White Plains Road to Botanical Gardens by my little feet walking when I have to go to Metro North. I know this is a futuristic question. Is there any thoughts of ever fixing that if that could be fixed?
Great question. So the 26, we'll take that back. We'll look at that. Go ahead. Sorry.
The 26 going from White Plains Road going west in the morning, and I don't know if you're joggers, but you definitely could beat the bus without a problem. And it just, the minute it hits White Plains Road, you say you ride the buses, you walk the streets. I'll meet you one day. It's a little better now because of COVID, but you could go from White Plains Road to Botanical Gardens. Takes me to walk about 22 minutes, and usually the bus is behind me, so I think it's 25 minutes for the bus. That's not
Good to
a
know.
long
Thank you.
stretch of land.
Yeah, thank you
Okay.
for that. We'll look into
I-
that. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, we will now turn it over, because I don't want to hog all the time. We'll turn it over to the hands. Just pick them in order, or whichever way they're on.
Great. I think
Okay,
Bernadette, you were first.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for a really good presentation. I travel by car mostly in this area, so I my when you say broken street grid, is that over by Gun Hill Road and White Plains Road, where you're talking about a broken street grid? Because of just really curious about what that reference was. So,
Essentially,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
ahead.
it varies. So certainly over by the west of the Parkway, you see it as well with the Williamsbridge Oval Park. Excuse me, I'm sorry. But so I have on the screen right now. This is the CB11 CB12 area from Book Avenue to 80 Avenue. This is roughly around the 5 train. And you can see kind of the same thing. The street grid is, there's not a lot of ways. If you're trying to cross the 5 train, if you're trying to get across that train line, there's not a lot of through streets. And also the grid kind of changes directions between
okay.
north of Gun Hill and south of Gun Hill. So it's not as it's not as broken up as it is around the Parkway. But I think the point is a lot of traffic within the neighborhood or between neighborhoods has to use Gun Hill just because the other streets are broken by a train line or because they change direction or there's dead ends, things like that.
All right, thank you, thank you. I was just very curious about, I guess clarification for that. And this my last question is, the ramp. The ramp from getting onto Gun Hill and to getting off to Gun Hill on Bronx River Parkway. It's amazing how it goes for miles. And even though it's a very long, there is given enough on the Bronx River Parkway. I don't know how that could be fixed or if that's even part of this, but the congestion right there is getting onto Gun Hill, east and, north and south, whatever the correct direction is. That is the only ramp that is I travel the Bronx River Parkway a lot. I don't see that happening anywhere else, to be quite honest. Maybe on the Marshall Loop Parkway once in a while, but Bronxville, but the Gun Hill is, the cars are just lining up. You're actually still in the traffic, the slowed traffic lane while you're trying to get off of the exit, both ways. There's only one lane of traffic that on the Bronx River Parkway that you can actually go through because the cars are doubled, the lanes. That just happened on Sunday. I don't know if it's the traffic lights when you get off of the exit. I really don't know what the solution is. So I'm sure you're very well aware of that, but I'm just wondering if there's any solution.
Yeah,
Bernadette, they just fixed that a few years ago, believe it or not.
Oh, well,
It used to back up. It used to back up on the right lane all the way back. So now they created another lane, and it still backs up. But I guess there's just too many doctors.
yes.
The northbound Bronx River at Gun Hill has had slight improvement since they did that little reconstruction, but not too much.
No.
Yeah, so the state DOT a couple of years ago widened both exits, northbound and southbound, to accommodate additional storage for the approaching exits at the intersections of Gun Hill.
I don't see improvement on the southbound. I see a slight improvement on the northbound.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the Bronx River Parkway was not built with the modern vehicle in mind.
No,
And
I
neither
understand
was the Gun Hill, neither was, Gun Hill Road, the bridge that carries Gun
I've
Hill
seen-
across the Bronx River.
I've
And
seen
so
the photo
really-
of the 3rd Avenue L. They should have kept that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for these comments. I think that's really, we're definitely aware that the Bronx River Parkway is a really, really tough, a tough egg to crack. And we have, we're pulling out all the stops to figure out what to do there. We have a traffic analysis, which is like this, it's a special software program. We have engineers working on it full time right now, actually through a consulting firm. And they're experts on this, and they are just figuring out, like modeling the traffic. If we do this, what is the impact on traffic? If we do that, what is the impact on traffic? So that's going to require some creative thinking, the Parkway area, and in the end, we'll see if there's anything we can do. Because ultimately, you make a good point. Gun Hill is the busiest exit. There's a lot of folks just trying to get off at Gun Hill, whether they're going to the hospital or for whatever, or the neighborhoods for all sorts of reasons. And we're gonna think very creatively, and we're putting a lot of time and a lot of different people onto this question of what can we do with that location. The good news. Sorry, go ahead.
Is there any option to actually widen the ramp so that there are 3 lanes? When you're getting, the ramp to get onto Gun Hill Road, whether it be north or south or.
I think the reality is that you really can't widen them anymore. And that would be a capital project that would have to go through the State Department of Transportation. But I think it's more important that we provide folks with better transit options and better buses on Gun Hill Road, operating along those corridors and other corridors along White Plains Road, along East Tremont, Fordham Road, all these other crosstown connections that we have in the Bronx would maybe get some of those folks out of their car and maybe into the bus. So if we can increase transit connections to the 5 and to all the trains there, then maybe people would be less inclined to drive their vehicles.
Can I ask who's in charge of the greenage space at the Gun Hill exit?
I'm not quite sure I understand the question.
I don't want to say grass. I don't want to say grass. But
Okay.
the by the exit ramps, both the north and the south exit ramps. There's like bushes, green space, whatever you want to call it.
The parkway is the Bronx River is a parkway.
Okay,
So
no,
it's technically park. It's technically on park land.
Okay, the reason why I bring it up is that because you got people that are kind of just either standing around trying to hawk whatever to the people that are sitting in those traffics, or you got people, inconsiderate drivers. They literally throw in their garbage over there and trying to call that to 301. I've been banging my head into the wall, and it's such a dumping ground over in that area. Is there any way that can be addressed? Do you have any pull as to getting that area cleaned up?
We can certainly look into it. Are there any other questions about the improvements
Let's
for
try
Gun
to
Hill
stay-
Road?
No, I just want to bring it up because we happen to be talking about that particular exit. And like I said, I've been beating my head against the wall trying to get that area cleaned up. I
Okay.
I understand it's transportation.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, we can
you know-
certainly, you can certainly send us some information, and we can either get it to the proper folks to have any
Okay.
place cleaned.
Also, I have another question. Are we only just talking about Gun Hill and buses, or
This
Yes.
presentation is for Gun Hill, East Gun Hill from Bainbridge
Hill.
to Bartow Avenue.
okay?
Is there
So
another
where are you
bus?
diverting?
No, yeah.
Where are
Well,
you
there's
diverting
another.
the bus 30? Where are you putting the bus 30 now? Where are you diverting that to?
Kate or Sina, can you
Yeah, actually, I'll defer this question to my colleague Matt Lazo, who's also on
Oh.
the call from Bronx Bus Network Redesign.
Yep.
Matt,
So,
can you speak to this?
yep.
Thank you.
All right, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so
I hear you very well.
all right, and the question was where the BX30 is going.
Yes, where's it diverting? It might be on your map there, but obviously I
Yeah.
can't see it.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we have the map on the presentation, but yeah, so BX30 will basically just continue along Boston Road. So once it reaches, right now, it currently coming from Eastchester going down Boston Road, it makes a right, going on right on East Gun Hill Road. So instead of doing that, it will just continue straight on to Boston Road until it reaches down to Pelham Parkway. But we still have the transfer access to the BX 28 and 38 should you need services to go along East Gun Hill Road all the way to Norwood area.
Okay, so that means, and I don't know if this is bad, good, or indifferent, that means I'm adding another bus into Pelham Parkway, which is not the world's fastest corridor in America, too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it won't go into Pelham Parkway. It's just going to terminate right before it. More specifically, I think around Pelham Parkway North, and then that's like the beginning around when you go back up north and going the other way. So it won't actually operate on Pelham Parkway, but yeah.
We can send you a copy of this map that shows the new route for the BX30.
Yeah, can you please? Because I was
Yeah.
actually going to be asking about some sort of extension of bus on Boston Road, because it's ridiculous that before you bring in this up, that there was no MTA bus that went, the route of Boston Road. For somebody to go from Pelham Parkway, you gotta like take 3 different modes of transportation if you're not driving a car.
Exactly.
So
That's one of the bigger reasons why we got it there. So it's completely new service along that segment of Boston Road.
can you definitely forward that map over to me, please?
Sure. The presentation will be on our website probably tomorrow, or if it's not already. I mean, this is all part of the community advisory board meetings that we've had. But yeah, we
Okay.
can get that to you.
I want to note
Debbie-
for Debbie that the service for the Bronx Bus Network redesign will begin on June 26, 2022. So we're still in the process of implementation. But that service is coming.
It's I've been long asking for this, so I'm actually very happy to hear about that.
That's great.
Do we
And
have
we should
any
also
other
note.
questions from committee? Any other questions from committee, please? Okay,
I just
going
wanted to-
once, twice.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
I just wanted to note that we have for the website, you can actually look at the maps right now for the BX30 on our Bronx Network redesign. You can type in Google, or we can share the links with you, and you'll be able to see exactly where the BX30 is going. Oh, and I think Kate just shared it
Excellent.
on the message.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank
And sorry
you.
for cutting you off. Yeah.
Okay, no problem. No, we're trying to get you guys out of here by 8:30. Any other questions from committee? Any other questions from the public?
Yes, I just have a quick
I have a
question.
question. I come from the public now.
Sure, quick question. Go with quick question.
Just the quick question is the 15-minute meter. Is that something new, and how does that get monitored when somebody pulls in and pulls out? I'm just curious how do you stop cars from kind of just park it going in and staying there as long as they want? I was just wondering how that got resolved.
Sure, that's a great question, Bernadette. So I worked on this a lot myself, actually, so I can definitely give you that answer. So the 15-minute is actually unmetered, and it's kind of honor system, which sounds crazy at first, like this is New York, like honor system doesn't work. So we're testing it out very gradually in different streets. I don't know, I don't know yet, or we don't know yet whether it would make sense on any part of Gun Hill. What we found is we put it on a couple different streets that are, busy commercial streets that are near a precinct and that already have police visible on the corridor. And so there's no meter, there's no like sensor or anything. It's kind of honor system, or if a cop drives by or makes their rounds down the street routinely, that car's been there all day, they might be able to give that vehicle a ticket. But what we found is that, again, we're being kind of cautious. We want to make sure this works before we spread it too far. But so far, it's actually been fairly successful where we've tried it out. Again, in these more limited situations where the conditions are just right, we actually have seen vehicles, for the most part, following the rule. And most importantly, overall, the 15-minute spaces are accommodating more vehicles per day than the metered spaces on the same block. So it's been, a modest success that we're piloting out gradually.
Where have you tried it, just for curiosity's sake?
Sure, we have not tried it in the Bronx yet, but we've done it on Church Avenue in Brooklyn near the Q train, and we've tried it on Bell Boulevard in Bayside, Queens.
I hope it works because I think it's a great idea. I think it's a great
idea. I think the only difference, and God forbid nothing against bodegas and little coffee shops, I think the problem is they run into those little stores. Now, I don't know Church Avenue or that other place, but I think the reason you got double parking here is because they're running in quickly and they think they could get away with it, which leads to my next question. You've done a study about everything, which is great. Have you done a study about how many tickets were given out on Gun Hill Road for double parking?
Keith, do you want to speak to that? Were you saying
I actually don't know the answer to that question, but I was just going to say that's an excellent question. We work closely with the, with enforcement, with the police department, whenever we do any changes or improvements to a corridor. I don't have the number at my fingertips about what the enforcement, looks like on Gun Hill Road for double parking. But I do know that the police are often by the Bronx River Parkway issuing summonses, I think, for moving violations for people blocking the intersection.
They give a ticket every once in a blue moon if they come out of the Bronx River Parkway and they're extending in. But I don't think that's a daily thing. And again, I'm not differing or saying, but I think if they were double parking on Gun Hill Road and getting tickets, I think your problem would be much less. I don't know if that's being enforced. That's why I asked the question.
Yeah, I think for certainly this project will probably, as Sarah mentioned, we don't know exactly what treatments we're going to use along the corridor, and we may do a mix and match of different pieces of our toolbox along the corridor. So some may be a little bit more robust, if you will, like the section between Bainbridge and Webster, which is, leading to and from the hospital, is a critical
correct
path. And so you may not see the same treatments on that segment that you do, east of White Plains Road. But nonetheless, we are looking at the entire corridor. We have different, as Sarah explained, we have different tools that we're going to use for different segments and such. And so, yeah, we're going to use what best fits for each block or each section and try and make improvements. There may be some, parking regulation changes on some sections. There may be, additional turning bays. Like there could be a bunch of different things, as was explained in the presentation. So, that's part of the community advisory board that we are currently going through, and lots of folks, some of the folks on this call are, participating in that, and it's going fairly well. We really would encourage somebody from the community board to participate in the next meeting. We would really like for that to have you guys represented on that the advisory board.
Okay. Any final questions? It's 8:29. These people have worked very hard today. I would love them to go home.
Sorry, excuse me, is the public allowed to ask any questions?
I did ask
Sorry.
the public. Anybody have
I said yes,
any
but
more questions from the public?
I never asked any questions, but I would like to ask some questions.
Okay, sure. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Because, I mean, the committee members continue occupying the time, and then when it comes to the public, it's like there's no time left for the public to ask or ask any questions. Why is this?
Okay, go ahead, public. You can
Thank you
ask your
so much.
question now.
Thank you. Well, I'd like to make some comments as a person who lives in Gun Hill, which I think there's no Gun Hill residents at this meeting, but I do use a lot of the buses and transit. And there seems to be a lot of bunching with the westbound bus 41 on Gun Hill. And that should be addressed because, and that leads me to my question regarding the bus cameras on the buses. Are those used to summons when there's illegal use of the dedicated bus lanes, which there isn't on Gun Hill, but in general, are those bus cameras used to enforce when there's misuse of bus lanes?
Roxanne, thanks for the question. So yes, that is the case. The cameras that are mounted on the buses, where we do have that deployed, we can use that to enforce. There's a handful of things that unfortunately we don't have the enforcement power for, but for the most part, common folks who are violating the bus lane rules will get a summons. Unfortunately, I don't believe those cameras have been installed on any of these routes yet, but we are expanding that program. So hopefully coming soon, something that we would like to see to go along with this project to make sure it's successful.
And also, thank you for the answer. But who's going to enforce it? Does it go to the police officer or traffic, NYPD traffic, the photos of anyone that's not using the bus lane as they should?
Roxanne, I don't know the full details of how a ticket is actually issued. I do know that we have people on our side who review the camera footage. I think they work with NYPD, but we can look into that and get you a better answer.
Okay. And
Sina, it's probably Department of Finance, which is how our program works.
Okay, thank you.
We have speed enforcement capability, and we have a red light camera enforcement capability. And that's under the New York City Department of Transportation. We also have fixed camera bus lane enforcement, which is separate. Which is separate than the MTA's on bus boarded cameras that do the same thing. I know that our programs we go through the Department of Finance to identify people who via their license plate once that's photographed. We have folks who review them and then identify who the offenders are, and then they get issued a summons in the mail.
Okay, thank you for that. But okay, thank you. I appreciate
My assumption is that the MTA is using the same process.
I hope.
Keith, you're probably right. Oh, yeah. Thanks, Kate. Thank you. Sorry.
Now that you mentioned MTA, and we mentioned where the topic is Gun Hill, the Gun Hill State train station, the escalator is frequently out of service. Because I'm the person I used to train at Gun Hill, and the bus 41, which tends to have a lot of westbound bunching on the westbound. So if you're going to address the issues on Gun Hill, please look at the escalator of Gun Hill train station as well as the bus 41 westbound. And lastly, I'd like to make a comment because someone who, even again, I don't live in Gun Hill, and I hope you have meetings with people who actually live in Gun Hill and will be impacted with whatever changes you make. But I'd like to say the e-scooters, I know it's a big problem on Park, but on Gun Hill, it's ridiculous what happens. You're saying Gun Hill is not safe for pedestrians. The sidewalks in Gun Hill safe for pedestrians because you have all these kids riding the e-scooters on the sidewalk while waiting for the bus. On top of it, it seems like the e-scooter company is targeting NYCHA because all these problems coming like from Edenwald, from Gun Hill houses and Town Park housing. It's like you put these devices to discourage our NYCHA residents, the youth, from being more active and misusing things to their own detriment and to the detriment of their residents. I'm just saying that. I hope you look into this issue because it's bad in Town Park, but it's way worse in Gun Hill. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your comments.
Great. Thank you so much, Roxanne. Any other comments or questions from anyone else before we call it? Going once, going twice. Rabbi, would you like to
Did we lose the chairman?
Yeah, I
Oh,
think
there
we
he is.
covered everything. Just like to thank you all again. I think Roxanne brought a very good point, which we didn't even discuss. When you go between White Plains Road and Webster, you get to 41, and I don't know if that 55 is still alive yet, but that adds a little more traffic too. So, yep, we wish you the best of luck. I think it's a great presentation, and hopefully we'll see some great results.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Rabbi. Much appreciated.
Have a great day at the MTA and in all other places you're working.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Rabbi.
Appreciate it, guys. Have a great night.
Thank you. Take care.
Rabbi, we have a few other things on the agenda, so are we going to continue with that? They're not off the hook yet.
I know it's 8:36, so let's try to do it as quick as possible. Jeremy, which one you think we should hit first?
Well,
You want to do?
Well, what about the Rhinelander Avenue one-way?
It's
That's
still-
number
Yeah,
B.
we can talk
Jeremy
about
left
that
for
a little
second.
bit.
Rabbi, Jeremy left for a moment. Let's continue. Keith,
Do you guys need me to stick around, or is this an internal discussion?
yes, no, it will be fine if you stick around, please, Keith. And-
Sarah, thank you very much. You can take off Sarah, Kate from MTA, Sina. You guys are all good to stay. My folks, and I just want to mention we're joined by Jesus Soto from my team who joined us. Yeah, so you want to talk about the one-way conversion or the Rhinelander Wallace?
Rabbi, does it matter to you?
I say we talk about the one-way first.
Well, that's the next one on the agenda. That's B.
That's the next one in the agenda. Let's continue with that, the conversion.
Okay.
Okay, well, we were requested and petitioned by the board to evaluate the feasibility of converting Rhinelander Avenue to a one-way operation. We have probably over 100 signatures on this request from the board. We had our traffic and planning division evaluate several things. They conducted an investigation, and they determined that it would be best for the street to be converted westbound, Rhinelander, between White Plains Road and Amethyst Street. So just so that everybody knows, we did a street measurement. We did evaluation of on-street parking usage, observations of local traffic circulation, traffic volume data collection, and accident data was reviewed. And
So
it is our recommendation that it be converted as suggested by the community board. So now the ball is essentially in the community board's court. We are fine with leaving it, but we would prefer, because you brought it to our attention, that it be converted. If the community board feels strongly that they don't want it to be converted, that's a discussion you, as the board, should have internally and then get back to me. I don't want to be in the middle of your discussion about it.
I know.
Just so I understand. Just so I understand that which way you're saying. You're saying going towards the train yard, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. No, I understand, Keith, and I so appreciate you responding to the emails, and our initial questions. So I appreciate that, and I understand exactly. So I do apologize if I got you wrapped into things where it wasn't your place. So I do apologize, but I do appreciate the answers. I just had a quick question. The review of the crash data, etc. Is that information I think that you have, that you could actually, that we can be given to the community board, that we could look at?
I mean, crash data is public. It's all public information. It's on. We can get you the links to where we looked up that information.
I appreciate that.
We have public portals for all the data that we collect and all the studies that we do. It's all on our website. We can get you the links. You'd have to do a little bit of research yourself to just pull everything together, but all that information is publicly accessible.
That would be great if you could send if you want to send the rabbi links or send it, you have my email. If you could send it to me, that I would be great because I know there are a few people that are interested in that. The questions I had asked you, there has nothing changed from there. In other words, the flow of traffic from 1800 Amethyst to 1900 Block Amethyst, that will still be an accessible route.
Right.
And there will be traffic, there will be parking on both sides of the street. Nothing's going to change.
Right.
Okay. So, yeah, if you could send those links, I would greatly appreciate it. And I thank you for answering a lot of the questions in advance. So,
No problem.
Anybody from the committee has a question?
I mean, the committee or the public?
The
Public.
committee.
Oh.
Okay.
No. Anybody from the public has a question?
Yes, I have a question. Unfortunately, it seems like these questions were answered beforehand, before this meeting commenced. The idea of these answers were shared with the public instead of being done in private discussions. And also, I
are in private
I'm
discussions.
not speaking to you, Ms. Farrar. I was not directing anything to you. Please don't interrupt me.
I will if I want to, but thank
No,
you.
respect goes both ways. We don't interrupt people while
Ladies,
people are speaking.
let's be polite with each other. Come on, let's be.
Second,
Go
to
ahead,
the
Roxanne, ask the question. But you
second
gotta understand, some people have access to the email like everybody else to can ask questions to the DOT privately if they want to.
Yeah, but DOT
this
said
is-
they were going to address these questions in the committee meeting, and now I hear that they address these questions privately.
No,
So, which is which?
you completely completely misinterpret everything.
No, no,
Whatever
that's what
happened
the email
between, no, but hold on,
correspondence with the
hold
DOT.
on. I respected you, let respect me, and let me clear it. Whatever Ms. Ferrara can send privately to the commissioner, it's between them.
No, no, I'm not referring to her. I'm referring to the emails I sent to DOT that where they direct them, they said these questions will be addressed in this public committee, and now it's stating that they already answered these questions. So I'm just wondering which is which.
So just to back up for a second, Roxanne, I responded to your email.
Yes?
Correct?
Yeah, but with no answers. And you stated you redirected the
All the questions that you asked, I answered.
No, there were no answers. You say you put a request in it, but there were no answer. And you stated that they would be addressed at this meeting.
But your questions are about this meeting.
Yeah, but you didn't
Your
answer my
questions. Your questions were why I was hiding some information, and I explained to you many times in the email that the request came from the community board, the petition came from the community board, and we responded to it. And then I gave you a copy of the same exact email that I sent to the district manager.
No, I didn't ask for your email. I asked for the copy of the studies that you say you're going to discuss at this meeting.
It's what I provided. It's the letter that the community board was given. That was the study. I explained to you what was analyzed as part of our evaluation of it.
Did not explain anything to me. It was just an email that stated you were going to discuss it at this meeting.
We conducted an investigation of this proposal that came from Community Board 11 with a petition with over 100 residents of the area, which included, but was not limited to, street measurements, on-street parking usage, observations of local traffic circulation, traffic volume data was collected, and accident data was reviewed.
And when I asked you for those details, you said it was going to be discussed at this meeting. What observation, how long they were, the scope, how many days? You said that was not, that was going to be provided at this meeting. Where are the numbers? Where's the data?
So you want me to get, again, as I explained to Bernadette, the data is it's all public. And I'll get you the link also.
Not your observations. Those are not made public.
I'll get you the data. I'll get you the link where you could review the data.
Including the observation, and how many days do you observe this rhinelander? How many days was your field study? You didn't provide me those answers. When I asked you those questions, you said it was going to be discussed at this meeting. And now it's stating it's not going to be discussed. You just read me that email stating that it was done, but when I asked you for the details of what was done, you still no answer to that. That's not right. It's not. We need transparency. And you did say that this was feasible. Is it necessary to do this a one-way conversion?
It's
The
feasible.
driver, it is,
It's feasible.
necessary.
DOT commissioner. I'm not speaking to
It's
you. I'm
feasible.
asking the
And
commissioner.
that's all I was asked to
You're not a
evaluate.
driver. You are not a driver.
I don't need to
I was
be a
asked to
driver be
evaluate the
involved.
feasibility of it. And
David,
our
David,
engineers have
come on,
determined
let's
based
be polite with each other.
based
Let
on
the
the
commissioner
information
speak.
that we collected that it is in fact feasible. Now, whether it's necessary is a different question. Whether the community wants it to happen is really up to the community and the community board. It's not for me to decide. The community board came to us and said, we have a problem. Here's a petition from residents there, and please take a look at it and let us know it is feasible. We determined it was feasible from a traffic engineering perspective based on the criteria that we looked at. And I explained the criteria that we looked at.
No, I thank you for clarifying.
The
'cause it is
traffic
feasible,
engineers
but
did
it's not
that.
necessary,
And
though.
so
We
then
agree on
what
that.
we did is we notified the petitioner, who is the community board in this case, and we advised them that it was in fact feasible to convert the street one way. We think it's best to go westbound. And if the community feels strongly one way or the other, the community will let us know if they want us to go forward with the implementation of that conversion.
Okay, but thank you for clarifying the difference between feasible and necessary. And second, again, I would like the data. This is why I attend.
The data is all available online. I'll get you the
Not your
link. I'll get you the I'll get you the guy. I'll get you the data online. I'll get you the link.
No, but also your observation, what you found. Remember in that email, all those observations, how many days of those observations was? How many hours per day? Why is that not provided? What was your finding on doing those hours?
It's feasible. That was our finding. That was feasible.
No,
that's our actual finding. Feasible.
But based on how many days of data collection do you do? What sort of data
I'll have to
collection
get that for you. I don't have that in front of me.
What were the factors to determine this conclusion of feasibility? These are fair questions, don't you think?
Again, I'll read it in case you missed it. I'll read it in case you missed it.
What were the factors?
In case you missed it, I'll read it again. We conducted an investigation of the proposal, which included street measurements, on-street parking usage, observations of local traffic circulation, traffic volume data was collected, and accident data was reviewed. And it was determined by our engineers to be feasible.
So will you send me then at least a measurement and also the traffic measurement that you did as well?
Again, all of it is online. I will get it for you.
And lastly, I got interrupted again. Lastly, I want, will you be willing, not to circumvent the community, but if there's communities who live in that area and they're not for this, will you be willing to give them fair ear that if they're not willing to have this a one-way conversion, that they will not be unserved by the community board, but people who actually live in this community will be heard, their voices will be heard? Is that fair to say?
Again, Roxanne, I'm not quite sure you're understanding what I'm telling you. I'm not telling you that it is necessary to convert the street. Again, I'm telling you it is feasible. And we got a request with 9 pages of signatures from the community board. 9 pages. That asked us to do that. It's up to the community board, who represents the community at large, to let us know if they think that it's something that they want us to do.
Well, first, they were not elected to represent. The second, the public hearing, there was
that's not for me to debate. That's not up for me to debate, Roxanne. That's not up for me to debate.
I made a statement.
All I can tell you is that's something you can discuss with the community board. All I can tell you is,
Commissioner, thank you very much.
this is what we determined.
Chris, can we move on, Chris?
Yeah, we're gonna move on.
5 people were in attendance. Anyhow, I'll follow up with the DOT. It's okay, Commissioner. You're quite given that you made up your mind beforehand.
I didn't make up my mind. We determined it's feasible. It's not up to me. It's up to the community board. If they want us to do it, they will notify us that they want us to do it.
Commissioner, thank you very much. Now, let's continue with
Rhinelander and Wallace.
traffic signal starter request process. at the intersection of Rhinelander and Wallace.
Yes. So, from what I understand, from what the response was, is that that there was a study done, and that it was shown that a traffic light was not
feasible.
necessary there. So, my question is, what alternatives? Right now, there's a four-way stop sign. It is. The four-way stop sign is not being, it's not being honored. There are people that live right there that if they got paid, they could tell you how many cars don't even stop for the four-way, especially if there's no other cars on the other side. So what other alternatives are possible?
Since it's already an always stop, I think probably the first step should be to highlight that location with the police department so that they can do some enforcement there, because they're not being obeyed. The signs are not being obeyed.
Does that initiative have to come from DOT as a requisite, or a proposal to
No,
the?
the community board can request a additional enforcement at that location. Doesn't have to come from me.
But
I
that's
can
true.
let them know if you want, but it's really
Yes,
the community board should be able to request that directly to the police department. But yes,
I agree, but having it also come letting them know that there was what was studied that was brought there, and that additional enforcement at that area needs to be monitored. Is there any way to get any kind of cameras at that particular area to help with those that are not following the stop signs? I mean, there is a lot of crashes there. I do not know what the traffic study was. I don't have it in my hand. I don't know.
we provided a copy to the board. The board should be
Okay.
able to show you this. It's the traffic study that has the traffic signal study details on it. We provided that to the community board when we sent them the response.
Okay, I will request it. I did not get it sent to me. So I would like to be able to see that. I have people, I mean, there was so many times, I mean, cars are coming down quickly. Is there a speed bump that could possibly be put somewhere between the stop signs on Matthews and Wallace to actually stop the speed? I mean, cars have gone into the parked cars that are parked by the garages there. Actually, the person that lives right there, it's her daughter. That car was done, smashed into another car, pushed into another car, from cars that did not even stop for the stop sign.
Yeah, let me just cover the enforcement issue real quick. We do not have enforcement capability for stop signs. We only have red light camera enforcement, automated enforcement, and speed enforcement. We don't have enforcement for stop signs. So we can't automate. We can't put. So cameras isn't something that's going to be an effective tool here. We can certainly look at other So just can you explain to me a little more about what the issue is? Is that cars are not obeying the all-way that's already existing,
They're
or
not.
that
No, they're not doing
is it speeding? Because we don't generally use always stop controls or traffic signals to necessarily control speeding. We like to use speed bumps, roadway diets in order to control, to physically narrow the roadway, to narrow the travel lanes. That kind of stuff is what we try to do, or a speed bump or speed cushions or some sort of speed reducer. But we don't generally do speed reducers at intersections. For the most part, we don't.
It definitely is. It is the speed as has been on Rhinelander Avenue.
On Rhinelander.
Yeah, so it's on Rhinelander Avenue. The intersection is Wallace and Rhinelander because there's a four-way stop. But the people who do live there that actually you know, if they had a camera there all the time. I mean, there are the crashes, crashing into the parked cars. Like I said, a couple of cars got totaled. There
Right.
was a dog that got run over crossing Rhinelander. There were accidents. Whether people report it or not is an issue. We all know that. But if
We can only go by reported accidents. We
Yes, I
can't go
know.
by, I got my mirror sideswiped and I didn't put a claim in, or like, we can't go
Right.
by any of that. And
No.
almost got hit or almost was in a crash. Those, unfortunately, they don't
Yes.
count. Like
Right.
we need data to
Well, I
to
could
move
give
these
you
things.
reports. I could give you reports of the two cars that were parked there, the people who live right on Wallace and Rhinelander, and her daughter was visiting. Her car got smashed in and then got pushed into because the car was coming down very quickly at Rhinelander and probably swerved into it. Didn't even get to the stop sign. It was before the stop sign.
I
So
don't, pardon me. I usually have a really good memory of every street in the Bronx, but remind me, does Rhinelander not have any speed bumps on it?
that particular stretch, no, there's no speed bumps.
So
On
I would,
Rhinelander from White Plains Road to Bronxdale, there's no speed bumps.
so why don't we initiate a study for a speed bump?
I would love that.
Yeah, just have Chris or Jeremy send me, or you can send me a note, an email. I
Sure.
just need a request in writing to initiate the study, and we'll log it and initiate
Okay.
a speed bump study.
Okay, good. And I'll copy Chris
Yeah,
and
you
Jeremy.
can send it to me. You have my email.
Yes. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Keith, I was just wondering, I mean, granted, I'm for a speed bump when you do need a speed bump, but I do know that Rhinelander happens to be a bus alternate route when Morris Park is closed.
But the buses don't go down. I don't, how often is that?
I'm just saying, like when they have the parades or when they have certain things that I'm just making it sure that it's noted out there that it is a bus alternate route.
Yeah. Thanks, Debbie.
Okay.
I don't think, I mean, if it's not a regular bus route, it's not a big concern. If they only have to go over it, like,
Once
once in a
twice a
blue
year.
moon, once or twice a year,
Okay.
the buses can technically get over it. They just have to go really, really, really slow.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure you was aware of that part.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's not as though that, it's not as though a bus can't travel over it. It's just that the buses are generally low riding. And so they do, if they're going, even doing 10 miles over them, they can bottom out. And so the reality is we don't want to damage, buses are very expensive pieces of equipment or vehicles. So we don't want to damage them. We don't like to have them traveling over speed bumps every day on a regular basis, because the idea of a bus is to move lots of people very quickly to where they have to go. But if they have to go over a speed bump once a year for the Columbus Day Parade, or something like that, it would be fine.
Okay,
It
so
would
I will,
be
I will
totally fine.
definitely do that, get that email to you. And I know that I can't dictate the possible location of the speed bump, but before the four-way stop sign somewhere would probably have some really positive results.
Yeah. So what generally what we do is we look at the street and we try and figure, we need a certain distance between driveways, between curb cuts. They can't be right at an intersection. And so they need to be spaced appropriately on a block. So that's why if you give us a longer list of streets, like a longer corridor, the more likelihood that we can get at least one bump in somewhere.
Okay.
I know it's tough on 1 and 2 family neighborhoods, 1 and 2 family home neighborhoods, because everybody for the most part has driveways. Then there's fire hydrants, and those things all have to be, the speed bumps are a standard size, and it's like fitting it into the puzzle. Where on the block we can fit it in between driveways, fire hydrants,
Okay.
street hardware, manhole covers. There's lots of things in the street that we
Yeah.
have to place this thing in. And so that's generally the hardest part.
Okay,
May,
well,
may I
finding that-
ask why? May I ask why a speed bump can't be near a fire hydrant?
Because in front of a fire hydrant, I'm not sure if you know, like about 8 feet from a fire hydrant, there's a turn-off valve. It's a hardware. There's a piece of hardware that needs to be accessible for either DEP or the fire department to turn that hydrant off. That's under the ground. It's underground. There's like a little square.
Okay, yeah, I've seen those.
It's like maybe 8 or maybe 6 feet. I'm not exactly sure. It's in the parking lane, and so we cannot be over that. Same reason we can't be over a manhole cover, because
Okay,
manhole
yeah,
covers can't be blocked. Con Ed's infrastructure, if there's a transformer in the roadway somewhere, subway, if there's a subway vent or something, we can't put you're
That
putting
make-
a half a ton of asphalt, an extra
Right.
half a ton of asphalt on the roadway. So
no, that makes sense. I appreciate the answer.
yeah, so the fire hydrant is important because of that valve, that shutoff valve. It's not necessarily just because of the fire hydrant, it's because of that valve that's in front of it.
Okay, any questions on the intersection? Okay, no more questions. Thank you, DOT. Thank you, Keith. Congratulations once more.
congratulations for what?
Being
I don't know.
commissioner.
I'm not. It's interim right now. Thank you. I appreciate your confidence, but it's interim borough
I'm
commissioner.
confident on that. Okay.
I appreciate it.
Sure thing. I'm going to open it. Rabbi, can I open it to the public if they have any questions? Rabbi, I'm going to open to the public. Public, please, if anybody has any questions.
I just have a simple question for the interim commissioner for DOT Bronx County. Regarding the one-way right line conversion, there's a double parking. Is that something you can do to help address the lack of enforcement there?
When you called the police department and you told them that, what did they say they would go out?
I didn't call police department. I called 311 because it's not considered an emergency.
Right. I can notify them.
I could give you the 311s and you can look at them.
I can't see them if the 311s were sent to another agency. I can only see
No,
DOT.
I can send you copies of them. I have them in my summary sheet.
No, that's okay. I will call the precinct. And what
Thank
street?
you.
Rhinelander, between where and where?
Well, where you're doing the one-way conversion.
Well, I'm not doing anything yet.
You're saying it's feasible. Where the area where you're saying it's feasible to do the one-way westbound or rhinelander conversion. I clarify my statement. Thank you.
Double parking.
Yes.
I'll send a note to the
And again,
police.
all those who keep saying I don't drive, one day I'm going to stick my driver's license in your face to keep you all quiet. Thank you.
I didn't say that.
Roxanne, you don't have to be you don't have to be rude. I mean, we understand the part. Okay, to sum it up again, DOT got a request from community board because people in the area have submitted signatures, a petition in which they're requesting to be done a study, emphasizing study. Study is being done by the DOT. DOT, based on all the data that they collected, so that it's feasible. Now, it's up to the board that we're going to pass this to the full board. When it happens to full board, it might be discussed over there too. And it's going to be put to vote. If the full board votes yes on a one-way street, then we can request it again, put a request again, an email to DOT asking that can be turned into a one-way street. But until then, DOT says that it's feasible. That's about it. Any old business, any new business?
Keith, I need you to fix a pothole.
Okay, go ahead.
Keith, I need you to fix a pothole on White Plains Road by Morris Park Avenue.
Okay.
I put in a
on White Plains Road or on Morris Park?
On White Plains Road. It's not in the crosswalk, but it's almost near the crosswalk. I forgot what the store is. I think it's like a fruit store. It's not the Dunkin' Donuts corner, and it's not the pizza corner.
But a hardware corner?
No,
hardware store?
No. The other, I think it's a fruit store.
Okay. And
I
you're sure
did.
it's a pothole, right?
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
a
I'm sure. It's
sinkhole?
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure it's a pothole.
Okay, we'll send somebody out to take a look at all the
Hello.
crosswalks on Morris Park and White Plains Road.
Thanks.
Question?
I have an old question of old speed bumps. I don't know if I have to request this, Keith. It's on the 6 blocks of this. They were put in back in 2004, 2005. And they're the lower level of the bumps. They're not the higher ones. Right up, it's between
The
Unionport
3
Road
inch.
and Unionport Road and Adams Street. And it's a span of 5 blocks and it's 2 speed bumps. Is there any way that those bumps can be upgraded so that people actually do it at 20, 25 miles an hour instead of 40? I'm right there on Van Ness, so they whiz right by me and they barely stop.
Unionport, Adams, and then what was it? What was the other one? Unionport and what?
It's on the speed bumps are on Van Ness.
Van Ness.
There's
Between
one,
Unionport and Adams.
Unionport and Adams, yes, Unionport Road and Adams Street. There's 2 bumps, one at Garfield and one at before Van Buren Street.
We can take a
So,
look.
Yeah, they're really, I call them wussy bumps because they don't stop the cars at all.
We can take a look.
Yeah, so do I need to put a request in, an email request?
I would prefer, it helps me remember because I write all these things
Okay.
down, but it's really helpful to have somebody send, it's, and it holds me more accountable because honestly, I write these things down all the time, but unless I transfer them to my book or if I bring them to the office tomorrow, I write them back out, and it's easier if you send me something, then I can have it logged and submit it and have somebody take a look at it, honestly.
Very good. I will do that. That's how I keep track of things too. So that's why.
Thank you.
In the digital world, it's so much easier. Just send me an email, send me an email, send me an email. Like, just track it easier that way.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you for having us.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I second it.
Okay,
What happened to
soon
old
be
business
Commissioner.
though? What happened to old business? I have something to bring up for old business.
Okay, old business. I thought we mentioned it before.
No,
Go
new
ahead.
business, new business. Thank you so much. And I'm making sure it doesn't have to be addressed now. But I would like the Transportation Committee for Committee Board 11 to discuss in the future meeting, not tonight, to revamp their street co-naming guidelines, since you permitted a street to be named after a foreign leader who never stepped foot in this country. So I think this should be available to all people, not just people on the board. So I hope you address this in the future. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Thank you.
okay, meeting ended. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, guests. Thank you, the public. Time, it's 9:08. Have a great evening, anyone.
You too.
And be
Thank
safe.
you.
We'll go to
Good
the
night.
commissioner's inauguration.
Good night.
We'll go to the commissioner's inauguration, okay?
Thank you, Rabbi.
Okay, I'll talk to you tomorrow, Commissioner, okay?
Please. Yep. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Good night, everybody.